Kofi smiles at breakfast. BBC Radio Humberside.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Flyest Breakfast Show in the world with me, Kofi Smiles, your friendly neighbourhood smile maker. And this is huge. This is big news because a woman from Hull is paddleboarding. 100 kilometres from Fort William to Inverness, mainly to raise money for the Men's Shed group. Now, the charity encourages people to come together in a shed to make and repair items whilst reducing loneliness amongst the community. So, Sandra Wallace, she started her challenge yesterday and she joins me right now. Sandra, good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. Lovely to have you on with us. This is quite the feat. Honestly, how did you do? How did you get started with this? I mean, you started with Fort William yesterday. Where are you now?
Well, we've travelled back to a place called Glen Nevis, so this is our kind of base. So we have a crew and we're in a camper van, so that's where we slept last night. But yesterday, Scotland threw all four seasons at us, so I started off wearing 2 lots of thermals and a dry suit, and we got to Neptune staircase. I got to the top of that, carrying my board, and literally stripped down to my swimsuit and then just put my dry suit back on. And we finished the entire paddle on a lock, I shouldn't even know, Gairloch, I think it was Gairloch or Gairlochie lock, yesterday round about 5 o'clock. So today we're back on Gairlochie. Oh, the Scots are probably going to kill me because it's probably called Gairloch. I should have looked that up. So we're heading back down to that lock, and we are on that lock all day today. So it's about 13 kilometres. And we're not sure. We've got yellow weather warnings coming in and some really bad weather today. We had about 2-foot waves yesterday.
Wow.
At some of the points, and some real high winds. So literally we're on our bottoms and our knees for, I would say, probably about 45 minutes of that journey. But it's been fantastic. And what's not to like about Scotland? It's just beautiful, isn't it?
So, but you have been... I was going to say, despite everything, you have been enjoying it, because I was just thinking, God, the views are going to be insane. The views are going to be gorgeous.
The views are absolutely amazing. And do you know what? The Men's Shed they decided to do a documentary on this. So we're hoping to do like a 3-parter.
Nice.
So I've got all the videos and the, photographic footage and everything. So I've been trying to get all of that packed in, as well as doing the paddle and integrating myself with a really lovely group of people. So, it has been a challenge. I mean, I'm 62 in October, and I do have a lower lumbar spine injury. So at times, it's not easy. I have given myself a little bit of a challenge, but the reason why I'm doing this is because 76% of suicides are men under the age of 50, and I have a son that's 25, and I've seen him at times really stressing out to get his career off the ground, and it's not hard, is it, for these youngsters these days, and a lot of them are a lot younger than 50. In fact, we were doing a paddle in Ripon quite recently, and this young lad was running around absolutely so anxious, and he shouted across to us and he said, "Guys, have you seen a body floating in the water?" So we were actually asked to search that day for a body. The guy said, if you find him, he's not going to be talking. And that for us really resonated, and we just thought, we're doing this practice paddle today, which was in really high heat, and it was a really long distance that we travelled that day. And we travelled back, from Boroughbridge to Ripon and back to Boroughbridge, looking for, in all the hedges and sort of floating water and what have you, trying to find a young chap that may well have done that. But it's a success story because he didn't, so that was absolutely amazing. But it just
confirms why you're doing this, isn't it? I mean, it's one of these things. You can't write that, can you? You happen to be on this voyage to promote Men in Sheds, and this situation happens, and it just was like, look, this is a sign that we're on the right path. I mean, your dad is also he's a member of the Beverley's Men's Shed, isn't he? So how important do you think this group is to him and his friends? And what was the catalyst in him joining? Did you encourage him to do so? Did he have other people influence him? And
well, Dad, unfortunately, he has suffered for a very long time with his own mental health. So we kind of lost Dad, we didn't know what to do. The NHS is not really, it's not, I don't think, the NHS is totally geared up to handle people with mental health, and they've not got the resources. So, we went through a lot of different channels, and we just lost him. And it was finally me going to the NHS and their ombudsman and saying he's really just not good enough, and this is a list of all of these things that needs to be done, basically. And to their credit, we had a meeting with about 5 people, 2 of which were consultants, and they agreed with an awful lot of my points, and they basically said, we can't get Dad to do any of these things, and we can't heal him until he's in the right place. So being a real man's man and he wants to talk to people, he's quite isolated at home with your mum. We can see they're not really getting on very well. They've been married for over 60 years, but mum needs some help as well. So basically what we'll do is we'll send him to a variety of different activities and see how he gets on. So one of the activities was men's walking football. My dad was such a keen footballer, and he almost became a professional footballer, but then had to pay and decided that, I really ought to take a career, and became a doctor. So we went on the dock to earn a salary, because back in the day, football, it wasn't a good salary. Basically he went to this football thing, which was supposed to be walking football. And I think they nearly crippled him. They put him in goal, and, even the lady that took Dad said, "Oh, Roy, at nearly 80, really, we don't think you should be falling on the floor. You could break something. I don't think it's for you." So, of course, the next thing was the men's shed. And what a complete transformation within a very short time. And Dad now, he makes his own cars and motorbikes and robots, and he's created his own workshop in his own garage. He sells some of these items. He buys in all of his own, what are they called? Templates from America for some of these things that he's making. And he's really good mathematically, and he's very creative. So he's changed some of the diagrams and how these things are put together, and he thinks that they're better. Well, I think he's my dad. I think they're spectacular.
That's brilliant.
But it brought Dad back to us. And I mean, to be fair, my dad, he had an accident on the Isle of Wight, and he snapped his Achilles tendon. So he had a pot on his leg. And there was a particular day when things got really bleak, where he went off really, really quickly to the river, and he thought to himself, well, if I do just slip down the bank, the pot will keep me under the water. And Mum had the foresight to realise that possibly that's where he'd gone, and she ran really, really fast and managed to catch him just in time.
Good.
My own kind of story there, and my own battle with, my own mental health, trying to have children, having 3 miscarriages, not being able to conceive for 5 years, having to have major surgery, the menopause, everything that life throws at you.
Yeah.
It's all about resilience, but it's about how do we come through? How do we make it back? And really, if any message that I can send out there is, you need friends. 97% of shedders feel that they've made friends.
Nice.
Dave and I, my husband, we got into our 60s and thought, we're done. We'll never make friends now, because we've got all our activities and our life sorted. But sometimes the people that are in your life are not the right people.
Yeah.
What you've got to acknowledge is that every single individual can offer you something special, but sometimes not what you need at that point. You've got to realise the right people for the right situation.
Yeah, and it can be quite hard to figure that out sometimes. But Sandra, thank you so much for chatting with us, and best of luck with it. You'll have to keep us updated with how the rest of the road goes. I know it's only been like day one. It sounds like you've been thrown literally all the challenges against you, but no doubt you'll be able to power through. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on you. Sandra, thank you so much. Sandra Wallace there started challenge paddleboarding 100 kilometres from Fort William to Inverness to raise money for the men's shed group. Incredible techers there, and hopefully what she was saying has inspired maybe some of you guys to get involved with men in sheds as well. I think that's incredible, her story about her dad, and saying, like, she's got dad back. She's got dad back when being part of this wonderful group. That's what we want to hear.
We celebrate your local heroes.